Hi, Dr. Marcia Sirota here in another of our Summer of Self-Care video series. And today I want to talk about the fear of confrontation. Very often my patients will say to me that they're upset with somebody, but they haven't spoken to them about it because they're nervous about how the other person will react. So I wanted to talk about this today because I think this is a pretty common problem for people. We don't confront even if we have a minor issue to deal with because we're so concerned with how the other person will feel. Now, it's very admirable that we, worry about how someone will react. We don't want to upset people. We don't want to cause them hurt feelings. On the other hand, it's so important that we express the things that we need to express because that's what keeps our relationships healthy and authentic, and that's the way we take care of ourselves. For example, if somebody's doing something that really bothers us, if we cannot have a healthy confrontation, the behavior never changes and we keep getting upset. And eventually it could really undermine the relationship and create either a big explosion or a breakup. So we need to express our needs and our feelings with other people to keep our relationships healthy and moving along in a positive way. So what are the things that we're afraid about when we confront another person? Well, we're afraid the person will get angry at us, that the person will confront us back in some kind of unreasonable way, or the person will reject us. And these are real fears. We don't like experiencing someone else's anger. We don't want to be rejected, but it's really important that we understand a couple of things. First of all, if we are about to confront somebody, even in a minimal way, and we are afraid for our safety, we need to take that feeling very seriously. If we are concerned that this person will become physically aggressive with us, if we say, hey, I didn't like it when you did that, or I really wish that you could do this, then we shouldn't confront them because we shouldn't put ourselves in harm's way. But what we should also realize is that if somebody frightens us, if somebody concerns us about our physical safety, we should not be in a relationship with this person. This is not somebody for us to be interacting with. We shouldn't be afraid of the people in our lives. We shouldn't fear for our safety if we tell somebody something that they might not like to hear. So it's so important not to be afraid to confront, because if we really are afraid of our safety, it's a sign that this is not a person to have in our lives, and we need to very strategically and carefully extricate ourselves from this relationship. Now, when our fear of safety is no longer a question, then it's more about our emotional issues. Our fears of the person getting angry at us, our fears of the person rejecting us, our fears of the person saying something unreasonable or defensive to us. But what we also need to understand is that the other person's reaction to our confrontation is very much about who they are. If they are unreasonable or angry or defensive toward us when we express our displeasure or express a need or set a limit, this tells us that maybe they are not as reasonable as we wish they were, or maybe not as caring toward us as we wish they could be. Because if we say the confrontation in a polite, kind, and respectful manner, then we can be assured that how we delivered the message is not the issue and how the other person reacted is the issue. So if we say, hey, you know what? When you did X, it really upset me. Could you please not do X again? And the person goes, I never did X. You're imagining it. You're always exaggerating things. Well, that's a sign that this person does not want to negotiate in good faith. And possibly this is not a person you can be in a relationship with, because every time you tell them something like that, they're just going to throw it back in your face. Another kind of response is when the person is just really defensive. What do you mean? You're always criticizing me. You're always attacking me. You're always trying to control me. If somebody turns it around on you and says that you're criticizing or attacking or controlling, when you're simply expressing your own needs and feelings and telling them that something they did has upset you, then again, you know that you can't negotiate in good faith with this person because they will always turn it on you. The oppressor turns into the victim in this dynamic. And of course, when something like that happens, obviously they're never going to listen to you. They're never going to be able to take your needs and feelings into consideration, and they're never going to be able to change their behavior to accommodate your needs and feelings. So again, this is not a person you want to be in a relationship with. So as long as you have taken responsibility to express the confrontation in a clear, polite, and very kind manner, the other person's reaction is really about them. As long as you are not accusing them, attacking them, blaming or shaming them when you confront, and as long as you keep the confrontation simple so that they understand what you're saying, their reaction is really about who they are, and it gives you information, a lot of very important information about the other person. And you should take this information seriously, because the most important thing about a relationship is the give and take. You want to be able to share and care, but you also want to be able to express your needs and feelings and have the other person acknowledge them and recognize them and meet them. If you cannot say, hey, I didn't like that, or hey, I need that, and the other person is unable to respond, then you can't have a healthy relationship. So you have to practice healthy confrontation, because healthy confrontation gives you the information you need about whether or not you can move forward in a healthy and authentic way in this relationship. Now, I'm going to give you one caveat. It is completely different in the workplace. First of all, you cannot have healthy confrontation with your boss. Almost never, because, the dynamic is very different in the workplace. Your boss is not your friend, they're not your parent, they're not your family member, and it's not their job to care about you, and it's not their job even to protect you. So if you say to your boss, I don't like it when you micromanage me, that might not work for you very well. So with a boss, you have to be much more strategic, and if there's something that you don't like, you have to figure out a different way to approach it, much more strategically and much more subtly, so that you don't put yourself in jeopardy type of position where the boss is going to be angry at you and then gunning for you. So be careful in the workplace. Same with your colleagues. They're not your friends, they're not your family members, they're not your loved ones, and they don't necessarily have the best intentions for you. You're supposed to work together and get along, but they're not necessarily on your side. So you have to be much more careful and strategic and subtle if there are things that your colleagues are doing. But in your personal life with your friends, your family members, your partner, these people you should be able to have healthy confrontation with, as long as you're kind, polite, and respectful, and you keep it simple. You don't confront them about more than one thing at a time, so just to make sure that they understand exactly what you're saying. Then this is a very great way to have healthy, authentic relationships moving forward, and to really see if the person cares about you and is reasonable and respectful, and you're going to be able to negotiate with them in good faith moving forward. This is Dr. Marcia Sirota coming to you with another video on our Summer of Self-Care, and I'll be speaking to you again very soon.